For today's video, I wanted to just talk about my opinion on all the changes that are going on for the CrossFit Games season. But before I do, I wanted to tell you guys about what happened with my regionals vlogs and where are those videos, where are those episodes. I did film them, went to regionals, filmed as much of my experience as I could, and then I didn't release anything. The reason why is I didn't like it. I put some of it together, watched it, and just thought, what am I even saying? I just didn't think I was really communicating much of anything and didn't want to release it and ask you guys to watch it. But now that they've changed everything, so regionals is probably going to be cut across all the regions. That may have been the last regional that I ever go to or that anybody gets to experience. So I think it's probably a little bit more important to me now that I go back and put the effort into creating some cool stuff out of the footage I took from regionals and dig into it a little bit deeper than just this is what happened in the events. Everybody already knows kind of what happened. So I will go back and do it and put a lot more effort into it. Not going to promise that my actual video editing has improved much. I'm still a beginner, but I do want to kind of tell a bit of a story about what it's like to go to regionals and compete at that level with all those athletes. It is a pretty cool experience. For today's video, I wanted to talk about the changes that are happening in the CrossFit Games. From most of the stuff that I can see online through comments and forums and stuff like that, it's kind of been received pretty poorly, so most of the community doesn't really like the changes and they're not too on board with it. I really think it's going to be a good change, and a lot of the backlash from the changes, I think that mainly comes from people who just don't like change, so they're just change resistant no matter what the change is, whether it's better, worse. But when it starts to roll out, and I think as they put it together with all the pieces of all the changes, it will be better. It's a much better opportunity for athletes now to kind of compete properly in this sport. A lot of people don't see it that way because they're so attached to that one piece of the competition that they love so much, which is regionals, that they can't see that this could be a really, really good positive change. The first thing that I'd like is the de-emphasis on the open. The open, always a controversial topic. From my perspective, I love it from the business side of things. I think it is so smart. Very clever way to get 400,000 to 500,000 people around the world to give you $20 and put themselves through hell doing workouts for 5 weeks and absolutely just marketing the shit out of your company. It is almost genius the way that they set that up. In terms of actually finding the right people, finding the fittest people to compete in the CrossFit Games, I think it sucks as a tool for that. They're keeping the open, but they're not emphasizing it, the importance of it, as much as they did in the past. So now they're just going to take a winner from each country. That is so much better. And this is one of the parts of it that I kind of wish that I was a part of. I've been doing this for like 6 or 7 years, and the open was always like my biggest point of frustration. Even though it kind of worked for me, I just didn't like the idea of it. I didn't like that you're having to compete and adjust on almost like a daily basis based on how many times people are going to complete an event and how fitter they get during the 7 days that they complete an event, but really they get a couple of technical advantages and a rep here and there that, you know, shows they're fitter. And by technical advantages, I mean, you know, placing your equipment smarter, putting your dumbbell basically on top of your rower, so when you get off, you know, you don't waste a second here and whatever. That doesn't show you're fitter. If you really think you can win the open in your country, then you're going to put all your effort into that. And if you don't, you'll have to go and compete in one of these other sanctioned events throughout the year. So we know a few of them. We don't know the entire list just yet. The ones we know about: Dubai, Granite Games, Wadapalooza, French Throwdown. I'm all for this as well because this, I believe, actually creates better athletes. It's such a different experience going to an event, competing right next to other athletes and under the pressure of being in an arena with thousands of people watching you. So that's when you actually can show your athletic ability and your ability to just cope and adapt with things on the spot with no second chances. That's what I think being an athlete is about, instead of like perfecting a routine in terms of a workout. So I love this. I love that that's what the athletes are going to be doing going forward, and it's just awesome. It's awesome. It's also going to make CrossFit way more interesting to watch and follow throughout the year, because you're not just, you know, watching and following athletes post kind of snippets of what they're doing on the Instagram and getting invested into that. You're actually watching them perform throughout the year and seeing what's happening. So I think it's great. I think it's really, really going to help the athletes get better over time. They will end up with a better show at the CrossFit Games, and it kind of makes me interested in it again. Like I said before, I wish that this had happened earlier, because like while I was super pumped about being involved in CrossFit. Over the last couple of, maybe over the last year, I think it's when it kind of started happening to me, started to just lose interest. But you never know, with all these changes, may sign myself up for something, we'll see. So some of the other concerns have been that, you know, there are going to be too many athletes at the games. So they're going to take the winner of the Open in every single country, which is a bigger pool of people, and they're going to be accepting, you know, winners from all these sanctioned events. So there's going to be too many. And so what they're going to do is actually, or most likely, cut people out of the competition really early on. So I think what that means is, initially, as these changes roll out, just like anything else, the first time you do anything, it's going to be worse. So the first time they try to roll this format out for the games, I think there's going to be a little bit of chaos and a little bit of disappointment for the athletes that do go. They might, you know, save up all their money and, you know, train as hard as they can and show up and get cut in the first event really brutally. And I think it will suck. I think you've really got to be careful and kind of weigh up the benefits on doing it in the first year, and then kind of maybe think about putting more effort and resources towards it for the following years once they smooth out all the kinks and the problems with it. Lastly, I don't know what's going to happen in the Australian region or in the Pacific region, because regionals really was our best event, and one of our only events. We do have a competition called Torian Pro up in Queensland that is a little bit far away from all the major cities, so I'm not sure how many people actually go there to spectate that event. It does attract some pretty good individual athletes though, so you know, that could be a possibility. I'm not sure if they would be willing to move it close to a city, don't know. Or maybe they will keep some version of that regional that we've got here, like keep the infrastructure, keep the setup and, you know, the managers and everything like that, and try to partner with some other companies, some other sponsors to actually kind of outsource it, but still run that as our core event. I think that would be really, really cool, and I do hope that happens. Otherwise, in terms of events in this region, I think it's going to be kind of hard for athletes to kind of compete. You know, it will be a little bit of a strain financially for athletes to just be flying all around the world from Australia, just because we're so far away. So guys, stay tuned for my regionals releases. I'm going to be doing current day commentary on the stuff that I took, on the footage that I took from the regionals. And then stay tuned for what I do next. I don't know what my future is in CrossFit. I'm kind of intrigued now with all these changes, but I'm also dabbling in some other forms of fitness. I'm doing breakdancing and trying to learn a little bit more of a wide variety of skills outside of just the CrossFit stuff I've been doing recently. So yeah, stay tuned. I think it's going to be really good.